Give myself a list of 3 things. And honestly, even just for the day, 3 things for the day. And if I do one thing, I'm happy. Because I know if I do one thing every single day, eventually everything will be done. So I don't try and
Right.
push myself. So that's the one thing I did today. Tick it. I'm really happy. I'll tackle the other 2 tomorrow, you know? And then it sort of goes like that. And I just, if I called you up today and said, I didn't do this and I feel like really shitty and I beat myself up, what would you say to me?
Give yourself grace.
Hi. Right. So that's, you have to be your own, best friend, good friend, kind friend. You have to be that friend to yourself. Just say, it's all right, Tadao. Didn't happen today. It'll happen tomorrow.
It's still so hard.
I know. I can tell. It's like, oh, you're going to be a tough
I
cookie,
will learn.
Tadao.
I just need to learn to balance, right? This
Yes.
me being kind versus me being self-disciplined. So I just need to find a good balance of it, and I'm still figuring out how to do it.
And you will.
Getting better. That's what I'm telling you. I'm getting better. I just need to learn the balance.
What thing are you working on? I know you like gave up alcohol, and that's like a crazy huge thing as an example, as an example of self-love. What is the like one thing that you're looking at disciplining yourself about lately?
I just try to. It's not so boring, but like I try to have a better quality of sleep.
So what are you doing with that? Yeah, for sleep. What's the like things
So
you've
that's
tried?
actually I've been struggling with. Like nighttime, like I was just talking with my boss another day. I really cannot turn off. Well, like obviously you cannot turn off your brain, right? Because like it means you're dead. But what I mean is like I'm still experiencing it like every night. So like it's really hard to describe. But the random thoughts
Yes.
popping up in your brain, it's not, negative thoughts or anything. Just any thought just coming up in your brain. And it keeps me awake. And even though when I'm in the bed and I'm asleep, it happens as well. So I dream about several different things. Sometimes I even don't know if it's a dream or it's happening for real because it's a very light sleep, I feel. So, when you wake up, you're exhausted.
I know the
Yeah.
feeling. I'm
And
I'm hoping that Debbie can help both of us because I'm going through exactly the same thing. I'm going to. I know what
so like,
you're
I
doing.
don't know why it happens. And I try the sleeping pills. I try, the Calm, the app, Jay
Yeah,
Shetty's app,
meditation.
meditation app. It helps me to calm down, but it doesn't help me with my sleeping quality. Tried the melatonin. I tried. Now I'm taking, what is it called? The magnesium. I'm taking it.
Right.
It's getting better, but I'm not having the quality of sleep I aiming for. Maybe that's my dream. Sleep peacefully.
And have no dreams, right? Because
And no dream.
the dreams that I have drive me crazy because I'm like, if I could write those dreams down, I'd have a bestseller. I tell you, I am saving worlds. I'm traveling through the universe. I'm traveling through time and I meet all these crazy characters and it's magical. And I'm like, I wish I could remember most of it, but
Right?
and you're right. It's exhausting. I wake
It
up,
is
I'm
exhausting.
exhausted. And,
Like
and
yesterday, last night, like in my dream, I was thinking about like how to make a good coffee. Like I was researching in my dream though, I was researching like what coffee maker I should buy and what coffee pot I should get. And I'm doing that in my dream. And it's not really practical. I don't care like of making a good coffee like while I'm asleep, but my head started to do that, and my sleeping quality was not really good last night, and I feel exhausted over coffee makers.
did you hear somebody talking about that?
No, actually, I've been thinking about buying a coffee espresso machine, so maybe that's the reason why. But I'm not passionate about purchasing an espresso machine. It's not really important. My sleep is more important.
It's
But
your type A personality, right? That it's like, okay, I need to research that in my dream so I can save some time.
well, I'm doing research in my brain, so like it doesn't give me a really useful information. But that's my personality. So whenever something happens, or whenever I want to buy something, I do a lot of research. Yeah.
So
So
when did the
Debbie,
decision come?
how we gonna have a
Yeah.
better quality of
Help
sleep?
us, please.
Help us, Debbie.
Well, it's such a journey, right? The one thing that have learned about sleep that's fascinating to me, about dreams in particular, is, and maybe I've said it before, that when we are thinking thoughts in our waking state, in our life, like right now, when we're thinking thoughts, they're all thoughts are incompletions, meaning things that we didn't live out in completion, which of course most things are like that, right? Should have said something, should have done something different, like all the shoulda, woulda, couldas are our thoughts of past and future, past and future, past and future. When we sleep, the incomplete thoughts we call dreams. They're called dreams. So daytime incompletions are thoughts, nighttime incompletions are dreams. So when I ponder that for my own self, it's like the answer to incompletions is completion. What does that mean? What does it mean to complete? And I've learned a lot about that in my journey, but in a nutshell, completion is making right everything that is in your mind wrong or hasn't been done to its fulfillment in the way you want it. So if you can zoom really far back, it's like if you didn't even worry about your sleep and you just kind of said, like, what do I think about this idea that I walk around all day long in completions with everyone and everything I'm doing? That motivates me to come to completion. And so finding our way of living a life in completion is the whole thing. Like in any one moment, saying and being and doing all that we need to do, right? And it's just fascinating to me that we hold back and we alter ourselves for others and we judge ourselves and we judge others. And we carry so much baggage into every interaction that it is always creating incompletion. So I guess in general, as we're a work in progress, right? It's like understanding that you're on a journey and it's going to take how long it takes. But if every day I can work on like completing with the things of this day, like in Al-Anon, they used to say, when you've done a lot of work, if you've done all these steps, step 10 out of the 12 is that you've kind of gone back in your life. Step 1 is accepting that you have all these problems and that you need a solution. And the solution is something bigger than yourself. That's 1, 2, and 3. Those are steps 1, 2, and 3. Step 4 is, who am I? What do I even look like? I've never stopped to see who I am. You do this huge inventory on yourself. Then you go about completing all of the past incompletions. You go back and you say sorry. Remember, and how I was saying, like, it wasn't that my dad was going to say sorry. It was that I was going to say sorry for my incompletion, is that because you didn't tell me you love me, I also held back. So I love you. And then I got to complete with that one small thing with that one person. And there's a lifetime of those. So you do as best you can to complete the past, but you're continuing forward, right? So it's like, if I can do whatever it takes to not create more, that would be helpful too, because the list is already long enough to fix what I've already done. So it's living every day in completion, like doing a review of your day is how they used to teach it. At the end of each day, it's like reviewing before you go to bed, like, how was my day today? Who did I interact with? Did I say and love the best that I could? How did I go through that? What was my feeling? Is there something I want to look at and change about today? So if there's like this commitment that every day forward, I'm going to try my best not to create incompletions. You can worry about completing with all the past stuff because that's a big old long list. But it's kind of like, it's both, right? It's always like clearing and completing with our past and our younger selves and the things of our lifetime. But every day living in full completion would just be like a daily review. A life review is a huge task, A daily review is another smaller task that you can be more current at, if that makes sense. So that was
Yeah.
just one way of like that Al-Anon teaches it. But really, I think that's kind of how all spiritual teachers, it's like we have to live in love and forgiveness in every moment. And then we have to go back and love and forgive ourselves for all of our past, you know.
That sounds exhausting, Debbie.
It's exhausting, but it's like that's why we can't be too hard. Oh, the grace is like everything.
Everything, yeah.
Because
Right.
there's a lot of days we're not going to do any of that shit. I think that's why picking up slowly over time these practices in our life that are doable and that we don't have to drop. So better to just, you know, work towards and like begin to have discipline. Like Tadao, you took up not drinking. There was a time where that was maybe more painful than it is today. But you're on the other side of it and it's like, wow, now I have that in my basket. How freed up am I because of that and more present and how loving I am to myself that I take such good care of that part of that one small but huge part of my body, mind, and spirit. And then the next thing is like, if sleep is too big, you know, there may be something else that is maybe just starting journaling for 2 minutes before bed. Journaling can be complicated, but also emptying of the brain, thoughts. And there's like exercises where you just write without thinking. Just keep writing and don't stop for 5 minutes. And you'll read that back and you'll realize how thoughts are not even connected. Your brain just rattles off like recorded stuff and none of them are related to each other. And you just write until like everything coming into your brain, you just keep writing. And that just can empty your brain. Some people do better with meditation, listening to, my husband puts the Bible under his ear and it just talks. He talks until he falls asleep, the Bible in his ear.
All right.
Some people want to hear like the sound of waves and some people need to meditate before bed. You know, there's like the gajillions of ideas, right?
I'll
But
do
I
that.
think
Yeah,
yeah.
that sleep hypnosis sometimes, you know, and then they have the binaural beats and things, and something that will just help me wind down. And I think maybe that's what it is today, is replacing the thoughts, because my thoughts aren't what happened in the day. I have a fiction, you know, I like to write fiction, so I have my fictional characters will start talking to me at nighttime, and then I'll have dialogues in my head, and then I have ideas, you know, for everything that we're doing. And I just have loads and loads of ideas at nighttime, because I think we're all different types, aren't we? And some people get more creative in the evening, some people get more
Yep.
creative. And it seems to me that 11-ish time to 1, 2 o'clock is when all my creative thoughts come. And so I started recording them on them, because, you know, you don't always want to turn the light on and sit up in bed. So I'll record it on my phone. I'll just do a voice note to myself. Don't forget that what you thought. But it is really, really exhausting. So I want to be that person that gets up in the morning early, but I've realized that that's not me. So I just have to accept my sleep cycle. But like you, Tadao, I have 101 thoughts in my head, racing in my head as I go to sleep. And I tried the brain dump it at nighttime, but then I'll have more
Right.
thoughts coming. So I'm like,
Maybe that's something you really need to do. Like you really need to write down, like write a novel or something.
I think I do. I think I just need to, there's a lot of stuff I just need to expel and get out of my system. But you know, I've had insomnia. I call it insomnia, but it's just that I used to write a lot at nighttime, and then I used to read till 4 o'clock. When I was younger, I used to read till 4 o'clock in the morning because I loved books, and then it was time at 7 o'clock I would get up, so I'd have 3 hours of sleep, and I was okay with that. But I do like the idea, Debbie, of at nighttime perhaps making some peace with what's happened during the day, as
Right.
opposed to not even trying to come to completion, because it may not be in that day, but taking that moment and coming to some peace with the day. Like, especially I'll have days where I'm like, I should have done this, I should have done that, I didn't do this, I could have done this. God, I wasted my day, I've done that too. And just saying, okay, like I say, the day's ended, and then, you know, and then the characters start talking to me. Like, you know, and then I'll be like, shut up, let me go to sleep. Have you tried today? Have you tried counting sheep? I've done that, and counting backwards, and sometimes deep breathing helps me. Like if you take really long, deep breaths, because then you know, in and out. And somebody said, say something nice about yourself when you breathe in, and say something nice about yourself when you breathe out,
All right.
which kind of helps you not only feel good about yourself, so you're kind of in that, but it also helps you calm down.
But brain dump sounds like a great idea. Because
Yeah,
maybe
and
that's, yeah, that's the reason why we should practice journaling to write down whatever the thoughts in your mind. But Debbie, I wanted to ask, did you like have issue with sleeping before? And if you had, like, how did you practice to, complete your life daily?
yeah. I was a big sleeper. I was not a morning person. I wouldn't say I had insomnia problems. That seems to be such a common thing. When I witness insomnia in my husband and my friend, lots of people, lots of friends talk about this. I witness him working so hard at trying to change it, and I get that frustration and why we get so fixated on not accepting something. Like every day when he wakes up at 5:30, he's so upset because he didn't get enough sleep. But our bodies know more than we do. All spiritual teachers say trust your body. It intuitively knows more than your mind. So if you have to pick between the mind or the body, always choose the body. It tells you more truth. So no one wants to hear this, but like, why is your body want you up at 5? If you can accept that, I wonder, this is just a question, it's like, so what if you just accept that? And there were times when I was aware of that for myself, and I had heard that enough. So it was like, yeah, like if I'm a wide awake, maybe I'm supposed to do something. But then the next voice comes in, our ego comes in or whatever, and tells us like, no, you should be sleeping. You better get back to sleep. You're going to be tired at work tomorrow. You're going to not be able to function. Well, the truth is, I'll tell you, you can function on no sleep and you can function on little sleep. I'm not promoting that. And it's easy to say when you get sleep, but I also don't get that much sleep anymore. And I'm more energetic in life than I've ever been. So I have to say that the amount of sleep maybe isn't as important as my cognition about it. And this is another spiritual principle that I have learned a lot about too. Our intention is what matters. And our belief and our acceptance is what matters, not what's actually happening. Because you could be battling with this whole alcohol thing and be so pissed and want to be drinking and be fighting it the whole time. But for some reason, you have an acceptance and a peace about it, right? So the fact that I get up at 4 a.m, if I were to obsess about the fact that that's only 5 hours of sleep and that's not enough, I'm sure I would just keep battling with it and I'd stay in bed. And I've done that. So I tested that theory. You have to just test every theory until you're done testing all theories. If the thing is if I keep hitting snooze or I keep staying in bed, do I feel any better when I do get out of bed at 8 or 9 or 10? No, I feel worse. I do not feel any better.
That's
I'm
right.
not any more rested compared to how I feel every single time I get up, do my meditation, yoga, and body cleansing. All the routine that I do is because it's actually scientific what I do, and it wakes the body up. And I'm full of energy until I go to bed. And that was just all my digging in, because you just have to dig into something. You have to believe in somebody. You have to start trying stuff. But not to segue again, but like these bigger things, I think too, like sleep is a gigantic thing. And when something is broken, we think, well, like sometimes we want to just go fixing it. But like with the Band-Aid idea, it's like, what is at the root of why I'm not sleeping is more important than the fact that I'm not getting enough sleep. So my husband, whose heart is acting up, I'm convinced, and he's convinced too, that it's stress at work. But he went about fixing the heart as fast as he could because we want that, right? And I get that, like I do too, in many ways. So he went to fix the heart, and then it didn't really work. Now it's still like it worked for a short time that it started beating correctly, and now it's not beating it's back to what it was. But it's because he didn't change the stress.
Right.
Just like when someone gets gastric bypass, I understand it can benefit you in a lot of ways to drop all that weight because your body is taxed when you carry extra weight. But like if you don't attack the root of the problem, so it's kind of like working at these things over time and giving that permission that like I will sleep better when I've come into much more completion and much more control of my thoughts. And that mindfulness and that the whole journey of spiritual men and women is one of lowering your thoughts per second. That's what full immersion into God, enlightenment, is having 0 thoughts per second. So now we can relate, right? It's like, oh, wow, look at us as human beings that aren't enlightened. Our thoughts per second are crazy. That's what's keeping us up at night. It's lowering the thoughts per second, and it's a whole lifestyle, mind, body, spirit lifestyle changes that we're all working on.
Right.
Look how far you've come. Look how far we've all come. So I feel like that's the balance I'm sort of learning more about at this stage in my life. Is there's always a macro happening and a micro, like, and just giving permission for the slow progress, and then knowing it all. And then all of a sudden in big ways, sometimes you get these huge shifts and you're like, wow, look at that. That's cool. I'm getting another hours of sleep, or I don't know. So it's like, I think it's always that back and forth of doing the work. Like, it's like coaching. We cannot keep telling clients what to do or even listening to them and reflecting back to them if we're not coaching, if we're not being coached. I need to be coached, or I am not a coach. Like, I need to be that harsh with myself. I have no business coaching if I'm not being coached. What does that look like?
They always
I either,
that all the coaches have coaches themselves, right? So, and all the big, people, speakers, they all have mentors. They'll always refer to somebody that mentored them, right? So,
right.
But I love what you're saying, Debbie, especially about intention. I always think, like, I always go with as long as my intention is good. And so when you lay your head down, what is the intention? And looking at the quality of the sleep as opposed to the quantity of the sleep, I think. Strangely enough, my best sleep comes from 8 till 11 in the morning, from 8 a.m. to 11. Maybe I stop fighting that.
Yeah, what would that look like?
Yeah, instead of just saying I have to be up, because I know from history, 8 to 11 is when I get my best, deepest sleep. And if I have that 3 hours, I'm good to go. I'm golden, right? I'm ready for the day. But because I'm always trying to get up, obviously, and be up and about before then, I feel like I just have not had good sleep.
I never thought of that way, but choosing your body over mind.
Yeah.
I never thought of any choices in my life that way, but I think that's the point, right? Because I usually wake up at 8 a.m. or something. So if my body wakes up around 6 or 7, oh, I should sleep 1 more hour. But that's my mind, right? I should sleep more. Or like when I come home and I feel like my body doesn't feel like going to sleep, but I force myself to sleep because it's I should be sleeping for tomorrow, but it's all my mind and it's my choices. So maybe I should choose how my body responds more often, because I never paid too much attention to it.
I never did either, and it's like fascinating. I'm telling you. I think I've told you before, but like I don't use an alarm anymore. I am dependent on alarms, like, for my life. Like, we all are, right? I mean, anyone that has a schedule or a job or like, okay. And it's because we can intend on when to wake up. Intention. We can create intention and get into such a connection with my inner clock before you go to bed. You set your intention on when you want to get up. And in the beginning, I still set the alarm clock to make sure, because I couldn't risk being late to work. Sometimes you actually have to risk it to like actually fully be in the intention, but it's just funny. So there's you have these breakthroughs that we don't even know. It's just that you realize the body is just fine with. That's the whole game, right? If we go with every desire of our body is the problem. We're just listening to our body and our mind in the wrong way, like the body cravings, like you need to just eat, you need to sleep, and just following, like, without trying those disciplines, like you were saying, Tadao. The disciplines really help you break through, because you actually, because really when we say we're listening to our body, But those are that is it our body's natural voice, or is it the mind's craving or addiction to something?
Right.
It's deciphering that, right? If
The,
our body is wide awake at 4 for some strange reason, why aren't we standing up? I like recognize I'm wide awake, but sometimes I can open my eyes at 4 and I just turn over because I'm not meant to get up. So and I want to get up at 4 because I have a routine. So sometimes then I'll say I'll snooze for a bit and then get up at 4:30. But I'm like, why did I even need to have that extra half hour? No need to question it. Okay. I shorten my morning routine. You can flex everything. When I still do my routine if I have 5 minutes or 3 hours. I still go through the motions of walking into my routine, and maybe I don't do the full body cleansing. Maybe I just do a few stretches, and then maybe I just say, thank you, God, for this day. And it took me 10 minutes instead of 3 hours. Because at one point I was like, that's what gets me is I don't do it every day. Like, that's why exercise routines don't work. That's why anything part-time screws with my mind. So I just have to do it every day. And so then I have to go real short because like I gotta go. It's like when you have 2 hours to shower and get ready, you take it. And when you have 20 minutes, you're like, I gotta fucking get out of here.
that's so true.
But I still get a shower, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you just like, I got to put on a hat because I had to be there 5 minutes ago. And you're like, oh my God. Like that one day I showed up, I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I didn't even remember. No makeup, no shower.
But do you wake up every day at 4 a.m. maybe without the alarm right now? Wow.
It's a miracle. Like I'm telling you, it's a miracle. But this was me going to India also. And I was at spiritual retreat for 30 days where the guru was breaking things in us. I don't even know what that means, but like, it could be that. It could be that we also, they would keep us at the program. We were so literally pissed off the entire time on one level because the program would go till 1, 2 in the morning sometimes.
Wow.
And then they had to bus us back to our hotel, which was like an hour away because we couldn't all stay at the ashram. And then they would come pick us up at 4 or 5 in the morning because we had to start yoga at 7.
Oh
And
my
we were
God.
like, don't they know we only are going to get an hour of sleep? And we were beside ourselves, pissed at the organization, pissed at the programs, pissed at the guru. Why are we doing this? We paid how much for this program? Oh my God. And we all just crack up. We all were in it together, all 1,000 of us that were there. And we still have all these great memories. When we're there, you just feel like you're being ripped apart, broken down. And it's like what you realize is you are just fine on 1 hour of sleep for 30 days. You're fine with 2 hours of sleep for 30 days. And guess what? If you're listening to a talk and you happen to shut your eyes for 10 minutes and then you wake up again, okay. Maybe you climb on the floor under the chair and you take a half an hour nap when everybody's doing something else. And then you just keep going. Like, what's okay? It's a lot about like breaking the ego. Like, it is not powerful. It is not power over us. But it's powerful until you realize, no, I'm not going to give into it. But it's such a journey, guys. Like, I mean, some of the stuff I've been working on myself for so fucking long. But I mean, it's such a joy. There's nothing better. It's all there is, right? This is why I think it's good that we have each other to stop and remember, like, fuck, Tadao, look at that story. Are you shitting me? Yeah. Most of the time when I'm with my clients, that's what I'm saying is like, wait a minute, like, that is incredible. What? Wow, we're all so hard on ourselves. Shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to continually process and go through and work on. But like
the journey, right? We're all on this journey, and the journey is never, I mean, we're never going to get to a place where we're like, oh, all right, I'm all done. I'm all good.
No.
It's a continuous evolution and we're always constantly growing. And I think there was a moment where I realized it's all about the journey. It's not the destination at all. The destination is when we go, right? That's what it is. Because if we're sort of committed to always this, they call it constant and never ending improvement. I think Tony has this word, kanai or something, but it's this constant evolution that we're going through, this improvement. You know, now I know better, I do better. Now I've learned this. I'll incorporate this. Okay, this isn't working. I'm going in that direction. It's just constantly having this personal growth. And today, if you look at the trajectory of your life, that is phenomenal. To to say you were a -10 and now be a 7, I mean, that's a celebration in itself. And Debbie, for you, that to be able to wake up at 4, that I am like in awe. I'm like, I'm not worthy. I'm
Me
not
too.
worthy because, you know, for me, it's like if I got up at 4, I'm damn pissed that I got up at 4 because I just want to go back to sleep. And I do that whole, oh, I'll just have another 10 minutes. I'll just have another 10 minutes. But what you said is so true. Since it's the month of Ramadan, I'll go to sleep at 12 or 1 o'clock, but I'll put the alarm on and I'm up at 5:10. And then once I've ate what I need to eat, I'll do my prayers. I'll read a little bit of the Quran. I have so much energy. I do. But then I say to myself, no, exactly what you're saying. I need the sleep. And then I'll
Who
go.
says that? Who taught us that?
I say that to myself. No, I need to go back. So I'll go back to
I know.
sleep. And you're absolutely right. I feel worse after I've had those extra few hours than
That's
I
right.
did at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I was fully wide awake. Why didn't I just take that moment and carry on with my day? So my intention now, after we've had this conversation, is when I get up at that 5:10, I will stay awake. I will stay awake for the rest of the day.
It's just curious to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
I've done that before. I
Yeah.
have to. I stayed up and honestly I was all good. I was all good. I trick myself, or it's that belief, isn't it, that I need to get those at least 7 hours in there. And even if they're so disjointed, I did like 4 before and I'm going to do an additional 3 because that's what I need. Otherwise I'll be screwed over for the day.
And you'll get what you need. Like we would say this about a baby, you know, it's like the baby will eat eventually.
Yes.
The child will eat eventually. They can throw their tantrum and not eat, but they'll eat eventually. Why do we say that? Because we know.
Yeah.
You'll sleep eventually. So even if you, at whatever point your body says I need more, you'll get it. Is my suspicion.
Oh yeah, I'll have my little.
And until then, you are passing up all this time. And when you learn, I think that's the best thing about like embracing an idea of reincarnation is that number one, we came into this life with every bit of the energy needed to fulfill its karma in this life. And we might live a million different lives. There's nowhere we're going. And you chose for it. We knew the parents we would have, the situations that we would encounter, and we were like, that one, I want that. So anytime we interfere with someone's journey, it is like, we don't know the karmic debt that they're repaying and why they chose it. Stay out of the way, like celebrate that. Celebrate that that's why I'm here. Even though I'm not in awareness of it, clearly I'm here. Gurus all over the planet are telling us, celebrate every moment. There's nothing else. This is what it is one existence after another. You're going to get to enjoy it all. Male, female, rich, poor, plant, rock, human, animal. You're going to experience every part of God because it's all God. Everything is that. And how else do you know yourself but to experience it all? So let's just say all that's true. Where are you racing off to? Then freaking celebrate like this existence. Every bit of your, what we call highs and lows or good things, bad things, it's God reflecting in that exact way to experience what that's like. Why are we judging it? That's why you begin to realize all things are good. It is all part of it. And so we call it bad that I, feel this way, or I was going to kill myself, or that, and I'm not saying I don't see the gravity of that. That's a huge thing. There's been such really tremendously heavy things in my life too, but it does give me some peace that I chose for this because I can actually see the blessings of things I've been through and gone through,
Right.
and looking back. So I do know everything is for a reason. Everything is to be celebrated and everything is part of a bigger story. And I have to just trust that. So we have to celebrate this lifetime also because
Definitely.
there's nothing. This is it. This is it.
And if I was
Mic drop, Davy. Our wisdom lady.
Yeah.
Preaching.
I'm just passing on what
Preach.
spiritual teachers are the best. Don't listen to me.
They
Listen to
are.
them.
I was
Listen
like,
to some YouTubes.
Debbie, or is it Debbie at the pulpit, right?
community. Join us each week on Tuesdays by clicking the subscribe button. While you're at it, give us a like. We'll see you next week. Thank you for being on this journey, and keep being your most authentic self.